and welcome.
Welcome to the Japan Deep Dive Report. Today, we are digging deep into the story of Japan's most important deity.
So think about this for a second. How can a single goddess be the link between the actual sun in the sky, the imperial throne of Japan, and a sacred mirror that almost no one has ever seen? We're about to unravel the incredible story of Amaterasu Omikami, the sun goddess who is truly at the heart of Japan's spiritual and imperial identity.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to get to know who she is and why she's so important. Then we'll explore her very dramatic birth and the myths that really define her. After that, we'll see how she founded the world's oldest monarchy. And finally, we'll discover where her spirit is believed to be even today. All right, first things first, let's really nail down just how significant Amaterasu is in the spiritual world of Japan. You know, in the huge pantheon of Japanese gods, Amaterasu isn't just another name on the list. Nope, she is the Saikoshin. That means the supreme deity, the ruler of the heavens, and really the most revered figure in Japan's indigenous faith, which is called Shinto.
And to really get Amaterasu, you have to get Shinto, which translates to the way of the gods. Now, this isn't a religion with a single holy book or a rigid set of rules. It's more like a faith that's deeply woven into the very fabric of Japanese life. And it's all about purity, nature, and the worship of countless divine beings known as kami.
So we just mentioned the kami, right? The divine beings of Shinto. But how did the most powerful kami of all, Amaterasu, even come to be? Let's get into her origin story.
The word kami is fascinating because it can mean so many things. It could be an epic, mythological figure like Amaterasu, but it could also be the spirit that lives in a mountain, a river, or even just a particularly amazing old tree. Kami are the forces of nature and the essences of life, and Amaterasu, well, she's considered the absolute pinnacle of them all. And she wasn't an only child. Amaterasu is part of a divine trio known in Japanese as the Three Precious Children. Her brothers are Tsukuyomi, the god of the moon, and the, let's say, very volatile Susanoo, the god of storms. And trust me, this divine family drama is at the center of some of Shinto's biggest stories.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Japan's two oldest historical texts, the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki, they actually tell different stories about her birth. The Kojiki gives us this really mystical version. She's born from the creator god Izanagi's left eye while he's cleaning himself. But the Nihon Shoki paints a more deliberate picture, where the creator gods get together and decide they need to create a ruler for the universe.
And that Kojiki version is directly tied to a core Shinto practice called misogi. See, after a trip to the underworld, the god Izanagi was covered in impurity, or kegare. To fix this, he washed himself in a river, and in that very act of becoming pure again, his three most important children were born. It just goes to show how fundamental the idea of purity is in Shinto.
Okay, let's get into one of the most dramatic stories in all of Japanese mythology, the tale of the Heavenly Rock Cave. This is where we see just how powerful the sun goddess is and what happens when she's gone.
So the story kicks off with her brother, the storm god Susanoo. He throws this epic tantrum, goes on a destructive rampage across the heavens, trashing Amaterasu's sacred rice fields and just causing all sorts of chaos. And she is so horrified and heartbroken by this that she retreats and seals herself inside a cave, plunging the entire world into darkness.
And the consequences were, well, catastrophic. I mean, think about it. No sun means no light, no warmth, no life. All the crops died, and evil spirits, who just love the dark, came out and started wreaking havoc. The universe was basically on the brink of total collapse. So how did they fix it? Well, the millions of other kami came up with a truly brilliant plan. They gathered outside the cave, set up a sacred tree, and decorated it with jewels and a brand new mirror. Then, one of the goddesses started doing this wild, hilarious dance, and all the other gods just burst out laughing. Of course, inside the cave, Amaterasu hears all this and gets curious. She peeks out, sees her own stunning reflection in the mirror, and in that split second of confusion, a super strong god yanks her out of the cave, bringing light back to the world for good. Now, this story is about more than just bringing back the sunrise. It actually sets the stage for the founding of Japan itself. This is the moment when divine authority gets ready to come down to earth. So after all that drama, Amaterasu declares that the world of mortals should be ruled by her family. She commands her grandson,
a god named Ninigi no Mikoto, to descend from the heavens. A few generations later, Ninigi's great-grandson, Jimmu, becomes the legendary first emperor of Japan. This creates a direct, divine bloodline that, in theory, continues to this very day, and it makes Amaterasu the official imperial ancestor.
And to make sure everyone knew he was the rightful ruler, Amaterasu gave her grandson 3 incredibly powerful gifts: the very mirror that helped lure her from the cave, a sacred jewel, and a legendary sword. Together, these are known as the 3 sacred treasures, and they serve as the imperial regalia of Japan, the physical proof of the emperor's divine right to rule.
So what happened to these treasures? Well, the story of the mirror is particularly incredible. Let's find out how it found its permanent and most sacred home. This is a really important concept in Shinto. Amaterasu declared that this mirror should be treated as her actual presence. It's her shintai, which means it's a physical object that houses the spirit of a kami. So to worship the mirror is to literally worship Amaterasu herself. It's not just a symbol, it is her, here on Earth.
For a long, long time, this sacred mirror was kept with the emperors in the imperial palace. But its divine power just kept growing until it became so awesome, so overwhelming, that it couldn't be kept under the same roof. So an imperial princess went on a quest to find a new, perfect home for the goddess. After a long journey, a divine message from Amaterasu herself said that she wanted to live in a place called Ise, and that is the origin of the Ise Grand Shrine, Japan's most sacred place.
So we followed her story from a mythical birth all the way to her sacred shrine. But this isn't just ancient history. Why does this goddess, born from a myth thousands of years ago, still matter so much in the 21st century?
Well, her legacy is really woven into the identity of Japan. She is still the most important kami in Shinto. She is the divine ancestor of the imperial family, which provides the mythological foundation for the chrysanthemum throne. Her spirit at the Ise Grand Shrine basically makes it the spiritual heart of the entire nation. And those treasures she gave her grandson, they are still the ultimate symbols of imperial authority today.
From the heavens to a dark cave to a hidden mirror in a quiet shrine, the story of Amaterasu is really the story of Japan's light, its leadership, and its soul. It's a pretty powerful reminder that some myths, well, they don't fade away. They become the very foundation of a culture. And it leaves you with a pretty big question. What does it tell us about the power of myth when a nation's identity is so deeply tied to the story of the sun itself?